everyone. Welcome to episode number 666 of this here electronic engineering podcast called Amelia's Weekly Fish Fry, brought to you by eejournal.com and written, produced, and hosted by yours truly, Amelia Dalton. My guest this week is cybersecurity expert Cordell Robinson, and we're talking all about emerging AI solutions, agentic AI, and how automation, regulation, and innovation work together in terms of federal cybersecurity. Also, this week, I check out new research that claims our brains may work a whole lot more like AI than anyone realized. But first, please welcome Cordell to Fish Fry. Hi, Cordell. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so first, Cordell, you have had an impressive career in a variety of industries. So, talk to me a bit about how you got started and how your career progressed over the years.
Sure. I got started, undergrad in computer science, electrical engineering, which is my technical side. And after that, I decided to join the Navy, the U.S. Navy, as an intelligence analyst. From there, I did about almost 5 years. And when I got out, I moved to Washington, D.C., because I knew that there was a lot of opportunity in Washington, D.C. And I decided to also enroll in law school while I was a software engineer. And so during that time, I learned more about the civilian world, how things worked. But I wanted to do something with my law degree that kind of married with technology, and that was cybersecurity. So I began to look things up and do my own research. And it was called information security before, and now it's cybersecurity. And so right now, what I do is compliance. And so I rolled into the compliance realm. And my second job from software engineering into right into cybersecurity in my second civilian job, which was amazing. I worked for the National Weather Service and then moved on from there to the Department of Commerce, working out of the Office of the Secretary of Commerce, where I was a certification agent. That is really where I was able to get my wings, spread them, and soar. And during that time, I had worked and learned so many things that I decided to start my own company. So I started my own company, Brownstone Consulting Firm, in 2010. So it's been 15 years in a month because October was the anniversary. And so ever since then, I've been helping organizations all over the country and now all over the world because we're expanding into Europe and Africa as well. So really exciting career on my technical side.
Fantastic. Okay, so Cordell, given your experience across the Department of Defense, NOAA, NWS, and the Department of Commerce, what do you think are the biggest technical, regulatory, or operational barriers you've seen impede the successful adoption of emerging AI solutions?
So one of the biggest obstacles, and this is a technical issue across the board with and without AI, is accuracy of inventory. That's one of the biggest obstacles. But the biggest obstacle is humans. So unfortunately, what we do is we adopt these technologies, especially AI is moving so fast throughout every single industry, and people are not properly trained on the basic awareness on how to use it in a manner that is going to help them use it as a tool instead of using it as something to do your job for you. And also understanding that you must encapsulate security guardrails around it. And so that's the biggest issue is the training. Humans make so many different mistakes. And it's not that humans do not know, it's that humans are unaware. So they're not educated on the fact of what is needed to know to be able to properly use AI throughout the industry. It's moving so fast. It's been utilized throughout so many different facets of the government. I know in 2026, DoD alone is going to spend $50 billion on AI, and that's just DoD. But are the people ready for it to come that fast. I know that on the contractor side, there's a lot of contractors taking lots of classes and things like that. I know my company, all of us from my staff, even myself as CEO, I take classes every single month, but there's so many people that are just unaware. And I believe executive leadership, especially, need to embrace AI and learn the basics of the awareness and then go from there.
So, Cordell, let's talk about agentic AI. How do you
Mhm.
think agentic AI is changing the way federal organizations approach risk management and security compliance?
So agentic AI is going to help automate so many different things throughout the federal government. So right now we do, for example, vulnerability scanning and penetration testing, and you have to hire a team of penetration testers, especially if the environment is very large. So you have to hire a team to come in, do the penetration test at least once a year. That is very expensive. With agentic AI, there's some agentic AI tools that are out there. And actually, my company, we're in the works of building an agentic AI penetration testing solution where you basically install it into the environment, you keep it closed, and then you run it. And then whenever you want to pull a report, you just pull a report. Then you just need to have maybe one or two, I would say two, because you don't want just one single point of failure, but two people managing it. So two professionals managing it. And then you don't need a whole team. You're lowering costs, but you're getting more accuracy, more speed, and you're able to get access to what's going on in your environment at a more rapid rate.
So, Cordell, can you share a specific story or lesson you've learned from your time on the front lines of federal cybersecurity that highlights the crucial role of aligning automation, regulation, and innovation?
Yes. So and I'm not going to say what agency because I don't want to go down that route, but at one of the agencies, they were trying to do vulnerability scanning and they did not want to spend the money on like each office having a license. So what they wanted to do is share the license because it would be cheaper. Well, you can't really do that. And you're not really supposed to do that either. And so they shared the license, but then when they shared the license, it didn't work anymore. And so, because of course the company, they had guardrails set up where you can't share it. And so this entire vulnerability exercise, scanning exercise was put together. There was all of these stakeholders ready to go, kickoff meeting, and then it was time to run the scan. The scanner did not work, which pushed back the project an entire quarter, 3 months, which was very eye-opening and a huge lesson learned from, the executive leadership in the federal space all the way down to the contractors. And so they called the vendor, talked to the vendor about it, and the vendor said, "This is how we have it set up. You cannot share licenses. You're supposed to have your own license." And the license wasn't that expensive. I think it was around like $2,000 for a license, which is not a lot compared to some of these tools out here that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, the lesson learned was just have your own license in one, not just because it won't work if you try to share it, but also have your own license so that you can control your space, your enclave, and your data.
Absolutely, that makes sense. So, how exactly is automation transforming compliance and security posture assessments today? And what impact does that have on the real progress of security programs?
So right now, automation, so they call it automated assessments, that some government agencies are looking for, or they're calling it. And there is nothing that is 100% fully automated. You still need a human, but with the automation, what the government is looking at is to be able to run through assessments faster on the compliance side, making sure that, okay, it takes normally 3 to 6 months to do an assessment. When you add automation, you cut the 6 months down to 3 months, and you cut the 3 months down to about 6 weeks, which is a huge significant saving. So the investment in the automation tools up front reaps a great ROI at the end because one, you're not using as many humans, as many people. And that doesn't mean that, the saying of like, oh, AI is going to take our jobs and automation is going to take our jobs. It means learn how to use the automation so that you can keep your job. And so the government and the private sector are going toward that. The government's moving with that very, very fast with the amount of investment that they're going to be putting in it in 2026. So my thing is learn automation because automation is going to help the efficiency of the government. Right now, the government takes a very long time to get a lot of things done. And this is going to shorten the time, which is going to actually help the American people and the American public. And also it's going to also keep our country safer in a great aspect as well, because sometimes if things take too long, for example, China or North Korea or Russia or some adversary could be sitting on our networks and we not even know for quite some time because of lack of automation. Automation is going to help detect those things a lot faster so that we know which way to pivot and what we need to do to get rid of those actors off of our networks.
Excellent. All right. Well, Cordell, before I let you go, it's time for your off the cuff. So,
Sure.
if you could have one meal right now, it doesn't matter if it's on the other side of the world, you need a passport to get there, what would you have?
So it would be a fusion. It would be a paella from Spain, but the proteins would be Caribbean based with jerk, as I love jerk chicken and jerk shrimp because I'm Jamaican. So it would be a fusion between Spain and Jamaica.
That sounds absolutely awesome. Well, Cordell, I think that's all I have time for today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me.
Have you heard about the new brain research coming out of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem? So, this new study contends that our brains understand language through a process that very closely resembles how advanced AI language models operate. And you know how they discovered this groundbreaking understanding of brain activity? By studying people listening to a podcast. And the results of this study call into question long standing rule based ideas of language comprehension and could also offer a powerful new way to study how meaning is formed in the brain. So, this research, which was recently published in Nature Communications, revealed an unexpected commonality in the ways humans interpret spoken language and how contemporary AI models handle text. Okay, so this is how they did it. Participants in this study listened to a 30-minute podcast. And by using the electrocorticography recordings from the participants, this research team tracked the timing and location of brain activity as language was processed. They found that the brain follows a structured sequence that closely matches the layered design of large language models like GPT-2 and Llama 2. All right, let's back up a second. As we listen to someone speak, our brains cannot grasp all of the meaning at once. Instead, each word passes through a series of neural steps. And this team showed that these steps unfold over time in a way that mirrors how AI models handle language. Early layers in AI focus on basic word features, while deeper layers combine context, tone, and broader meaning. And you know what? Our brain activity follows the same pattern. Early neural signals matched the early stages of AI processing, while later brain responses lined up with the deeper layers of those models. The timing match was especially strong in higher level language areas like Broca's area, which is an area typically in the left frontal lobe, which is vital for speech production, language fluency, and forming grammatically correct sentences. Dr. Goldstein, who led this research, explains why this brain activity revelation is so interesting. What surprised us most was how closely the brain's temporal unfolding of meaning matches the sequence of transformations inside large language models. Even though these systems are built very differently, both seem to converge on a similar step by step build-up toward understanding. So, it was believed for many years that language relies mainly on fixed symbols and rigid hierarchies. But the results of this study challenge those assumptions and point to a more flexible and statistical process in which meaning gradually emerges through context. So, where is this research going from here? First, the team has made the complete set of neural recordings and language features publicly available. This open data sheet allows researchers from around the world to compare theories of language understanding and to develop computational models that more closely reflect how the human mind works. Super cool, right? So if you want even more information about this topic or more information about Cordell Robinson's company, Brownstone Consulting Firm, I've included a couple links below the player on this week's Fish Fryin' page on eejournal.com and in the description for this week's YouTube episode as well. Hey, have you checked out EE Journal on social media yet? Well, you should. You can find us at facebook.com/EEJournal. If LinkedIn is more your thing, I dig it. You can follow us or me on LinkedIn as well. And we are also on Blue Sky Social and Mastodon too. And we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/EEJournal. Folks, it is chock full of all kinds of techie videos, including our very popular Chalk Talk webcast series, hosted by me, and our animated series called Libby's Lab. And of course, you can subscribe to our EE Journal YouTube channel as well. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you know of any cool new technology or heck you just want to chat, shoot me a line at Amelia, that's Amelia, at eejournal.com, or post a comment on our forums on EE Journal. For the week of January 23rd, 2026, I'm Amelia Dalton, and you've been fried.